What's going on, people? I was having trouble going live, but now I'm here. Technical difficulties, back another week, another Wednesday. I'm just grateful to be here with you. Shout out to the replay gang and anybody else that may watch this. I alluded to this last week when I spoke on think more of yourself and give yourself a chance and things like that. I did mention it briefly how there are times when we could self-sabotage, we could put ourselves in a bad way. Sometimes there's no other external forces, any other thing going on in our life. Sometimes it's digging into our past and the things that we wish we coulda, shoulda, woulda did better, and the theory of the self-fulfilling prophecy. I talk about that from time to time. Me and my mother spoke about that, how you can call things to be true, by negative self-talk. I mean, positive as well. But when it comes to the self-fulfilling prophecy, a lot of times it does have to do with negative thoughts and things that we hear from other people and ideas that we adopt from other folks and we take them on as our own. And I tell folks to be careful with that, because you can make somebody else's negative ideology your own, and to the point where you adopt the thoughts and you don't realize that you're repeating somebody else's verbiage or some other negativity that you were influenced by, or somebody planted a seed, and then all of a sudden you start to take on that ideology, you start to take on that philosophy or that influence as your own. And it's really just as simple as, oh, I'll never make it, or oh, I'm not good enough, or, I'll never reach the goal, or lose the weight, or get the job, or marry the person, or find a suitable mate, or whatever it is that people tell themselves. There's a lot of times we can sabotage ourselves because we get into a space where we start to believe the things that people say about us is true, be it positive or negative. Sometimes you can sabotage yourself by believing, the hype, buying into, what you think you are based off of things that you've done, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, or something that has boosted you up to a level where you feel as if, hey, I am all that in a bag of chips. I am him or her or they or whoever, you may believe yourself to be. And, it happens. It can happen just as easily as the people that you hang around, or the things that you watch, or the stuff that you're influenced by. These things, they creep into, our psyche, and they move us in different ways, to the point where you can all of a sudden wind up depressed because you're trying to compare your life to somebody else's, and you don't even know if what they're living is real, so these things, they definitely happen. And one of the ways I say to counteract that is to be grateful and to understand, who you are, to be realistic with yourself, to not, overly believe the hype, to modestly self-efface, as has been taught to me, to, just be realistic when you're looking at that person in the mirror, when you're saying, hey, this is who I really am. I mean, we have all of what we would like to be, what we strive to be. We could look at the ideals, but we deal with the reality, as one old timer said. You want to deal with the reality of who you are, of what you are, what's going on. Because a lot of times, when you get mixed up in negativity and in certain thoughts, you can begin to perpetuate a self-fulfilling prophecy to the point where you don't believe that anything can go right. So it becomes a point where anything that will go wrong can go wrong. So you don't want that to happen. So you just be mindful of the things that's going on with you. Take stock, take the temperature. It's like some people say, read the room. If you're in a situation where you're around people who may not be like-minded as yourself, and that may not be, conducive to getting you where you need to be, then, be aware of that. Like, I was talking to a coworker not too long ago about how the people that you speak to, they matter. Because you could have somebody that's constantly telling you you're not going to do anything, or you're not good enough, or who do you think you are? It could be a whole bunch of things. So you have to be careful who you associate or you talk to. I remember It was something with the rapper 50 Cent. He said that his grandfather taught him that you're only going to get as far as the time you spend talking to the people that you talk to for no reason. So I say, be mindful of the people that you talk to for no reason. Be mindful of the people that don't support your vision. Be mindful of the folks that don't have the best interests in mind. What's going on, Rock? I appreciate you for coming through. Thank you. I'm here. Thank you for coming through. But like I was saying, yeah, hopefully all is well with you and your family and anybody else that watches this that come through. I appreciate you as well. But like I was saying, just be careful who you speak to. Be careful who you're around. If you're trying to do things and make stuff happen and you have people that don't support your vision, you have to be careful, because the things that they say to you to deter you away from your vision, away from the things that you want to do, that you're trying to make happen, will become your own thoughts subconsciously. You could easily be trying to do something, and because somebody else didn't believe in it, or somebody that's close to you that you care about, it could definitely, be something that deter you. It's all good. Thank you, Mama Bear, for coming through. I appreciate you. It's all good whether you comment or don't comment. I just appreciate the fact that you came through. Anybody that watches, it's all good. Thank you for supporting my vision. But yeah, like I was saying, so, be careful of the negative thoughts that you take in from different people that you're around, because you're not always going to be around those people. But a lot of times we don't realize that some of the things that we take on as our own ideas, as our own ideology, may come from somebody who really didn't support us, or sometimes even somebody that do support us. You want to always try to be realistic with yourself and who you are and where you come from and where you're going with your life. Just like I said again earlier on, modestly self-efface. Look at things realistically. Try to take a 30,000 feet view of what's going on with your life and who you are and your limitations and all that stuff, but also go ground level. Level with yourself, as they say. Be realistic. Not to be overly preachy about it, but these are just things to think about, because you get to a point where sometimes it could be nobody around you or nobody really stopping you from anything, and you may wonder, why am I not moving forward? Why am I not progressing? Why am I not getting to the place where I want to be or hitting the mark? And sometimes that's because we sabotage ourselves. Sometimes we work against ourselves based off of what is in our mind, or the last thought that we may have thought. And sometimes you want to be mindful, or you always want to try to be mindful of who you're around, what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're allowing people to speak to you. Also, I had to learn that one too. A lot of times we have to be careful what we allow people to say to us. If you allow people to say negative things to you, if you allow people to put negative ideas in your head and put you in a negative space, or just really get you to the point where you're upset or pissed off, that can affect you and influence you in different ways. And these thoughts and these ideas can become your own, these habits. You don't want to take on people's bad habits. Like it says in a good book, it says something about how bad association spoils useful habits. And people don't understand. Sometimes you can just have a bad association with people, even though you love them, even though you care about them. They're fun to be around. But when it's time to get down to business, that can actually spoil good habits. And those habits will be things that you actually carry on, with time, and you don't realize where you got them from. Because that's the funny thing about bad habits. That's the thing about negative thoughts. A lot of times when we have the negative self-talk and the things that we say to ourselves and tell ourselves, sometimes we actually forget where it comes from. And then we start telling ourselves things, as if it was something that came from us. And sometimes it does come from us. Sometimes it is our own thing. But I guess the big thing about this live stream and what I'm saying about we sometimes can sabotage ourselves is one of my favorite quotes from Shakespeare, where he says, the fault lies not in our stars, but in ourselves. And what he was saying about the fault lying not in our stars, but in ourselves, is because what we fail to realize is that it's not always the world that is the thing that is against us and stopping us and preventing us from doing what it is we have to do. Sometimes it's us and what we allow to come into our psyche, what we allow to come into our being. It's like my house right there, my door is over there. Now, my space is structured in a certain way where I'm safe now, I'm okay, I'm in a good environment where I don't have to worry. But I have the ability to let negativity in my house. I have the ability to let dangerous situations in my house. So I use it as a metaphor for life. Be careful what you let into your life, into your mind, into your space. Happy October to you too, as well. Amen. Halloween and spice, sugar and spice, everything nice. So, like I said, long story short, be careful what you let into your life. Be not afraid to let it go and, depart yourself from that. Anything that's going to bring you down and it's not putting you in a way where you could prosper and flourish. And even with things that, you're being praised, be careful of not being praised so much. Don't be so quick to celebrate yourself or, to be celebrated, but appreciate the things as they come. And it's just one of those things where I just say, just be mindful, really be mindful, because a lot of times when we think the fault or the things going wrong in our life are about everybody else, it's really about that person in the mirror that's not taking self-inventory and doing a check of the person, places, and things that you associate with yourself. Because as I said, from the good book, bad association does spoil useful habits. And hopefully this was a useful habit of you listening to this live stream and checking in with me. Got a little bit over, but it's all good. Shout out to those that came through and the replay gang and this. I cut out negativity with the swiftness in my life. Yes, Rock Trub, I appreciate that. That comment right there is true. And I tell anybody, like Rock says, cut out the negativity with the swiftness, because if not, like a cancer, it can grow, it can fester, it can become something that you take on and you begin to identify with a little bit too much. You want to, I guess before I leave, I'll say this. The negative and the positive are going to be in your life no matter what. You want to try to have a balance. It's like, I don't know if you understand anything about negative and positive numbers. You have the negative and positive numbers, which actually create whole numbers. So you have the negative and positive, which create a whole situation, an objective view of your life, because you're not going to totally get rid of the negativity. The negativity is going to be there. It's going to creep up in different ways. And the reason I say self-sabotage is because it could be a situation where you cut out the negativity, right? But the person bringing the negativity is you. The person that's saying the negative things is you. Sometimes, like they say, we don't compete against other people, but we compete against ourselves. And I remember somebody said, I forgot who said it. He said, I'm not competing against another person. I'm not competing against you. I'm not competing against that next person. I'm competing against myself. And then they went even further to say, I'm not just competing against myself in this moment. I'm competing against the past. I'm competing against my present self and my future self. And I thought that was really dope. So you're constantly competing with who you were versus who you are versus who you will be. I remember a mentor of mine said something to me one time, and I'll share this with you. This is some real stuff. He said to me, you will only ever be 3 people in your lifetime. And I say this to all of you folks here. I may say this again, but remember, I'll say this one more time. You'll only ever be 3 people in your lifetime: who you were, who you are, and who you will be. And in that vein, I say you're constantly competing with those 3 people, and then I guess if you want to bring in the whole world, you could do that as well, So yeah, it's one of those things. But I think this is a productive live stream, and I appreciate you folks for dropping by, stopping by. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, reshare this if you felt some usefulness from it. Peace to you as well, Rock. But like I said, give this a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, share, thumbs down if you have to. It's all good. Thank you for tuning in.